Mr. Chairman, there are some southern Cameroonians who are very strong with the regime. I can give you some of the names. Chief Tabe, Mr. Paul Atalanji, Mr. Ayuk and Chief Mokete. I don't know. What kind of message do you intend to send across to these people?
So, I am glad you mentioned those names, and I will not even qualify them by giving my own answers. I would ask them to watch what happened on the 4th of September. I will ask all those people to see what has happened this week. It is a shame, especially to some of these our brothers, that a minister would leave his zone after watching his daughters being raped, after watching his brothers and sisters being maimed, killed and tortured, locked in dungeons. That one of us will come to another minister, a foreign government, and tell them that everything is okay. That's what Dr. John Gute did in Nigeria. It is a shame. And when people like Professor Ngole come out and they do the things they do and say the things they say in total disregard for what is really happening, it's a big shame. But history would tell all of us. We had Chief Tabetando went to Manfe and carried the secret society of Manfe and walked the streets with. We cannot reach a stage where we out of greed, completely ignore the voice of the people. But what happened? He walked the streets of Manfe and said schools must start on Monday the 9th, on Monday the 4th of September. You and me are witnesses. We know what happened on Monday the 4th. Schools did not start. Now, if our people have any level of authority, they would know they've lost it all. But more than authority, it takes a courageous person to say, I'm sorry. That's what we expect people like Chief Tabetando to do now. They must go down. He said he was going to go down on his knees. The moment has come when the character of a person is what he or she will do when nobody is watching. Chief Tabetando must own up to his people now and say, I failed you. I'm proud of people like Mbela Mokichas, who after taking stock of the truth of the matter says we failed our people. Now, in a real democracy, when you fail your people, you back out. So our people have failed. The moment has come. You can apportion blame from now to tomorrow, but I think the time has come when our leaders have to say we are listening to the voice of our people. And the voice of our people is very clear. The senators, the parliamentarians, the time has come for all of them to walk out of that glass house honorably. Our forefathers did this in 1954. It is in our DNA. We can see that the hand of Mr. Paul Biya has walked them into a corner. But they must come back to their senses. They must touch themselves and say, what DNA do I have here? Is it that of Mr. Paul Biya or that of the 8 million southern Cameroonians? That's where we are. And one of these days, I hope all of them will go to sleep and wake up and say, wait a minute, my people are calling. How do you justify a chief who today is still sitting on his stool and saying, I have people, when the people have told you in no uncertain terms that they want out of this? Our chiefs must face up. It's not enough for them to close their doors on Mr. Paul Biya now, like we hear most of them are doing. No, it's not enough. The time has come when they have to tell Mr. Paul Biya that we are sorry, but enough is enough. We are turning to our people. Our people make us chiefs. You cannot be a leader without a followership. So the moment has come, and that's why we call on our mothers. On the 22nd of September, this year, we'll call on our mothers, because the pain of what we are going through, it hurts you, it hurts me, we feel it, but nobody feels it more than the mothers. And I have received calls from women asking me, Seseku, what do you want us to do? Because it pains a lot of our mothers to be in their homes looking around and their children have disappeared. We've asked them to stage a demonstration. Nobody is going to stop them. Paul Biya cannot stop them. He's already tried all his forces. Does he want to kill them? Our mothers have said they will go out on the streets and ask Mr. Paul Biya to bring all their children.
Have you been thinking ever since you were elected as chairman of the governing council about the creation of a Southern Cameroon's army or defense force?
Yes, of course. We go back to history. This whole mess really only happened in '61 because when we left the House of Chiefs, the Eastern House of Chiefs, and went over, we had a police force. We didn't have an army. And that's why Mr. Ijo rolled his forces on the 30th of September into Tiko, and on the 1st of October 61 he moved and carried his military army of occupation and occupied our land. So of course, if we're planning to go forward, we cannot let those mistakes happen again. So yes, we have formed a Department of Defense already. It is currently in motion. We are preparing them, and we are blessed because we have a lot of our people who are in the diaspora in many countries with a lot of defense experience who have come together, and we're putting pen to paper. A lot of work is being done, and our Department of Defense will hit the ground running, like the Department of Foreign Affairs we are preparing, like the Department of Education we are preparing, like the Department of Health. We're doing a lot of work, and trust me, let nobody make any mistake and think we are naive. When the trumpet will sound in Boya, they would see us. We know the task ahead is not easy, but it's beautiful to have a clean slate to build. All our institutions that they have damaged, when we bring them back up, they would understand why we got into this fight in the first place.
You have been touring Europe, meeting with the Southern Cameroon diaspora. What kind of message have you been selling to them?
I have asked Southern Cameroonians across the nations I've traveled whether they are happy where they are. And without exception, they are not. They are thankful to those countries that have accepted them. But they are conscious that their success will not be any success. The legacy they want to leave behind is not to leave a legacy in the United Kingdom. They are not Brits enough to leave their own legacy here. If God wanted you and I to be Brits, we would have had British parents. The reason why you are Manu man, the reason why in His divine mercy He made you to come from Manu is because ultimately if Manu has to change, you have to change it. How many British people are in your village? There's none. And even when they come there as expatriates. You come here as a foreigner looking for help. That's because you have no place you call home. That's why we are in this. And I've gone around, and the statistics are very annoying. When you go to a place like South Africa, a country that we were struggling to save only a few short years ago under apartheid, today we have more than 15,000 Southern Cameroonians in South Africa. That must make us to ask questions. Why? Equatorial Guinea, next door, small nation, has over 5,000 of our people. It is a clear indication that we don't have a place we call home. And that's why we are in this, because we are going to create a nation that is ours. We are going to build it with our hearts. It's a leadership issue. And I, in the current capacity as chairman of the governing council, I can assure everybody we are going to set institutions. I read a book that says why nations fail. The principal reason why nations fail is for lack of institutions. We carry authority and bless on one person, it becomes a small god. Ours would not be a nation of small gods, at least not in my time. Ours would be a nation governed by principles and by institutions.
Mr. Chairman, we gather information that some people within the BR Francophone Betty Owondo regime are helping in the struggle with some kind of codified information. Is that true?
Yes, it is true. Injustice anywhere is injustice everywhere. And some people in good conscience are not satisfied. Number one, with the way he's treating the situation and his general attitude towards people. So yes, because of that feeling they are providing us with information. That's why we know things before they happen, because the people they are telling us. And those people are not just, for the record, they are not just Southern Cameroonians in the military, in the police and in the gendarmes. No. Those people are Mamleke people, those people are Beti people, those people are people in the north, from the north of Cameroon. There are people from the east Cameroon, and there are people even from his own backyard. The Wondo Beti people, they are telling us things that he plans to do. All his wicked, atrocious things he plans to do to our people, they are telling us. We know what he plans to do. That's how we know that a few weeks ago they were cooked up another one that they were going to blow up the GC board, blow up Lycée Bileng. And then they have already arranged for some people who are going to be arrested. And the people are going to confess that the Secretary General and myself send them. The Executive Council send them. We know all these tricks they are preparing. But we know those things because people are consciously digging in. They are asking themselves, how much longer can we tolerate this injustice? How much longer can we tolerate this satanic regime? And so yes, we are encouraging our people to be conscious of this. You cannot in your true mind accept this injustice. You cannot, anybody, think of the girl who is raped and think of that girl being your daughter. That should trigger you to play on the side of justice, and that's what most people are doing, and we thank them so much. We continue to ask them to feel it in their hearts to provide us with information, because one thing we really want to avoid is a genocide, and that's the impending signs. We're asking our people to help us avoid a genocide in our nation, because any bloodshed in our nation is on Mr. Biya's head. We have called this a non-violent revolution, and we are going to keep it non-violent until we get to Buea.
So, as chairman, you have just confirmed to Cameroon Concord News Group that you are getting intelligence from Francophones helping this struggle.
We are getting information from all the right-minded people in Cameroon, within and without, who are conscious of what is happening.
No,
and that
I'm insisting on Francophone.
Oh yes. If you want that answer as a yes or no, politicians don't answer yes/no questions. But I'm not a politician, and I'm an activist. And so, if that question is a direct yes/no answer, I would say yes. We are getting intelligence information from the Francophones as well as the Southern Cameroonians.
One last question: do you have a mandate as the chairman of the governing council? Do you have a mandate?
Well, mandate as in yes, we have a conclave that voted me as the chairman of the governing council. And let me take this to clear the air. Some people are still calling for elections or somehow some legitimacy. It is very clear to me that if you got up any time in January, the early days of January, and you ask people who is leading this struggle, without a shred of doubt, most people will tell you Barrister Felix was leading this struggle. If you got up in March at any time and asked people that who's leading this struggle, nobody would doubt that they would tell you it's Mark Barretta and Tapang Ivo. In spite of the fact that these groups have been there, many people will tell you without blinking. I don't need to, I'm not in this, it's not a celebrity contest. But when an old mother who's like 80-something, 90-something years old says they have a leader, I am almost certain the woman was referring to me. So I'm not going out there to claim. A person doesn't make a name, a title doesn't make a person. A person makes a title. And I'm going to, doesn't matter what people call me, I'm going to lead the governing council as chairman, and I'm going to do the very best job I can do in this. And people must remember, these are jobs that we are doing from our hearts. Everybody who's pouring everything they have in this is doing it from his heart. And because we don't get paid for this, but we're coming with it with everything we've got, knowing that at the end we'll free our people. It's a fight worth fighting. It's a fight worth dying for.
Seseku, thank you very much for your time. It was nice having this conversation with you.
God bless you. Thank you, my brother.